Hello, 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 and welcome back to the CAIM Circle podcast. Jessa Francis here. I am once again so excited to be here, so grateful for this opportunity, podcasting. Woo! I am really extra excited today because it is not just me here today. I have a incredible human being that I just recently met this past January at the Mindful Drinking Fest. This is going to be a more intoxicated, focused podcast today. We're going to be diving into mindful drinking, living a sober life, and a particular brand with a particular message with very particular ingredients. This is going to be really cool, juicy stuff. I have Philip Gladman here of Drink Domo. Is a zero proof elixir that is really thinking outside of the box, really going above and beyond. This is not just a functional beverage, but this is something that can really elevate and support your life in a multitude of ways. So if you are interested in the alcohol-free world, learning about brands, learning about the products, learning about the ingredients, this podcast is for you. So hang around with me and Philip today for a little bit and learn more. Philip, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast and to be sharing your brand, which I am sitting with right now. I got to taste your product there at the Mindful Drinking Fest, and when you showed me the product and were telling me about the ingredients, 6,000 milligrams of unique ingredients and a proprietary blend of different things that I was just like reading the list and I was like, what? This is crazy. And yeah, no, I knew we made fast friends. And now, if you're here in Charleston with me, you'll be able to get your hands on it very easily, either at Sachet or at one of my events. I'm really excited to be sharing this with my upcoming retreats, and some of my yoga classes, things like that. So thank you so much for being here.
Absolute pleasure. I'm glad you're excited. I'm very nervous. I have never done a podcast before, so this is going to be an experience.
Yes, and I knew that, and I'm kind of doing a little bit of under the radar consulting and pushed you in this direction because people need to know about you. People need to know about this brand. People need to know about what you're doing. So to
You are
start
right.
off, I want you to just tell the audience a little bit about yourself, where you're at in the world, and how you got started on this adventure.
So there's actually two of us really at the core of Domo, myself and the most amazing lady called Susie, who's our scientist, who you also should meet at some point because she makes the incredibly complicated sort of stuff about the brain really simple and really easy to understand. Um, so we went into scientific research probably 2.5 years ago,
Mhm.
um, with one aim, which was to create a functional drink where you would feel an effect in one can. And we had a target which we were aiming for all the time. I have a dear friend who lives around the corner from me who has a wonderful phrase called her 2 glass jolly. You'll see her out in the evening and she'll be bouncing around and she'll say, I've got my 2 glass jolly on. And what she means by that is like, when you're happy, chatty, relaxed, confident, like totally together, engaged in the night, that lovely, gentle buzz.
Yes, yes.
That's your 2 glass jolly. And from the beginning of our scientific research, we were going, we ain't stopping until we achieve the 2 glass jolly.
The 2 glass Jolly in 2 drinks or in the one?
in one can.
In one can.
Uh,
Okay.
which is why we have 6,000 milligrams of functionals.
Mhm.
And all of those functionals are bioavailable, i.e., your body can use them. And all of those functionals are at therapeutic doses, i.e., we have scientific evidence that at that level it will do what we say we're going to do.
Mm.
Um, as a man running a business, it is absolutely ridiculous to put 6,000 milligrams of functionals in a drink because they're really expensive. Um, but we basically went, right, we're going to stand for three things: real feelings, backed by real science, made by real people. And that was sort of our ethos of the beginning. And for us, having absolute efficacy where we know it works and where we have the scientific data to back it up is the founding principle of the company. And we chipped away and chipped away and chipped away in research. And then you can picture Susie and I after about a year and a bit taking lots of packets of powder to parties and dissolving it in like sparkling water, and it being so horrible to taste you'd have to hold your nose to swallow it. And eventually we cracked it. That took about a year and a half. And then it took about another 6 months to make it delicious, to make the cocktails yummy, and actually to keep the whole thing in a can. The first production run more was on the ceiling than was in the can. So yeah, it was about a 2-year process.
Yeah. And so you've got a spicy watermelon, the mango miso mule, and then you
Ginger,
also have
ginger miso mule.
ginger miso mule, and then
Yeah,
the scrumptious berry bramble.
yes, a very
So
English word, scrumptious.
scrumptious. I love the word scrumptious. Yeah, no, okay. So that is, I love that, kind of shows what it takes to get started. When you're building a company. A lot of people don't really recognize all of the research and work that goes in to starting a company, especially when it comes to these functional brands and these functional ingredients and beverages that are out there on the market. It's not it's not easy. It takes a lot of time and dedication, and you really put the work in, and that's awesome. So, I mean, on your box here, naturally flavored dietary supplement with natural nootropics, nutrients, and botanical extracts. Can you dive in a little bit more to the actual ingredients?
Um, yeah, so let's unpack that a little bit. So the first thing you'll see is dietary supplement,
Yes.
and we're pretty much the only one out there which is.
Hmm.
And the reason we are is because we have um, so many functionals. We are classified by the FDA as a dietary supplement. So that was a choice we took, again, because of the efficacy. But if you, I mean, I won't go into all 17 because that would probably not be the most engaging of podcasts. But if I break it down, it's basically a quad stack. So stacking is a principle which you can use when creating functional drinks, which means that you basically get a 1 + 1 = 3 effect. So the quad stack works synergistically together to build the effect of the whole lot. And the first stack, or the first element of the stack, are nootropics. Um,
And
and
nootropics support the mind. This is like a way to support your brain specifically. Yeah.
yeah, it is. But we're using them for a specific role in this product. So when we were in research with consumers who were having nights off, and these were either people who were sober or people who were just choosing to moderate.
Mhm.
And we talked to them about, what happens when you're having a night off, but you're out with your friends who aren't? And they went, oh, well, actually, that's a really good question. A lot of times I don't go. And we were like, why not? And I said, well, I have one or two. I get bored. I get tired. I really don't sort of want to be there. And then my friends disappear off on a vibe. And I go home and I think, well, that wasn't much fun. So your body your brain is in fight or flight mode as you approach that evening. So the nootropics in our case are going, instead of, I'm not sure if I want to be here, they're switching your mind on to, come on, I'm up for this, where's the party? I'm going to be chatty, I'm going to be confident, I'm going to be sociable. And they're doing that job. So that is the purpose of the nootropics. The second stack are amino acids. Now, amino acids, a better way of thinking of amino acids, call them feeling fuel. So your feelings and lots of other things in your body, but in this case, we're building on feelings. Your feelings come from amino acids. So they are what creates dopamine, they're what creates serotonin, they're what creates GABA. So,
They're hormone rulers.
exactly. So we are giving you all the amino acids for you to have an upbeat mood, to be sociable, to be chatty, to be out there, to give a little energy boost. So we're putting all of those in. But you can't create feelings unless your neural pathways are fizzing with enzymes. So those enzymes need what are called cofactor nutrients. That's the third stack. So we put all the cofactors in the drink to fire up your enzymes so you can have the feelings. And then finally, there's a fourth thing called an absorption enhancer, amazing thing called bioperine, which basically means rather than it taking like an hour and a half to get from your tummy to your head, it opens up your bloodstream and it gets there in 15 to 20 minutes. So in 15 to 20 minutes, all these other 16 functionals will start synergistically working together to basically give you the feelings you want on a night out. And it lasts for an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Okay, and when you like you made this, and you wanted it to be in one can, say somebody's like, this is scrumptious, I want more. How many more? And what would the effect be? And how give us the disclaimer.
Well, so this is, we can get into some really interesting neurochemistry here.
Yeah, geek out.
So I'm just trying to think of, so the short question is 3 in a night.
Okay.
There isn't a building effect. So it just sits you at that same level for the night. It doesn't build. And that's actually down to this bit, which I'm going to explain to you next. So you'll notice that we've put the same functional blend in all 3 cans. So all that changes is the flavour. So we have flavours for different occasions. The ginger miso mule's lovely with food. The scrumptious berry bramble, think of a big copper glass, lots of ice, squeezes of lemon, lovely, long, refreshing first drink of the night. And then the watermelon margarita, rim it, chill it, a bit of a firecracker for when you want to kick on. Your brain will decide, and you will decide the feelings you get. So if you go and sit in a darkened room, because we've given you all these feeling fuels, and everything you need to create feeling, if you go and sit somewhere really relaxing, your brain will pick the relaxing ingredients.
Mhm.
If you go and out for dinner, it will pick the sociable ingredients, right? If you go out clubbing, it will pick the euphoric ingredients
Mhm.
because this is the difference between functionals and alcohol or functionals and THC.
Mhm.
Those ones, right? Alcohol and THC, you don't have a choice. It's like, boom, this is what's happening. Functionals, we're using feelings, your environment, how you're feeling, what you're doing will influence what your brain picks up and the feelings you feel.
You know, that makes total sense because our brain, our brain, our body, it's so wise and it's always going to go along honestly with whatever it is that we're focused on. You know, it's an energy, you know, that we're holding, and you and I have talked about this before, is there is a certain energy that we have, and we're like the masters and makers of our own energy. If we want to have joy and excitement, we need to focus on the good things, the positive things, the grateful things. But if we're focused on the things that are not going well, that's what's going to happen. We're going to have an energy of lack, of scarcity, of whatever. So I love that this is actually a way to support which way you're trying to go.
Exactly. It basically, look, ultimately, we're trying to create the healthiest way of having fun, right?
Mm,
We are here so you can go out and have a really, really fun time.
yeah.
And we're giving you all the cognitive support, all the energy support, all the feeling support to maximize the chances that you're going to go out and have a wicked time.
Mhm.
And it's up to your body and you how you want to use it.
Yeah, no, I love that. And you know, it's interesting, right, that and you hear this a lot, you know, with vitamins and minerals and all of those things like supplements, right? This is a dietary supplement. If you go and get, you know, like if I get a mixed vitamin and um I already have so much vitamin C in my system, it's not going to absorb anymore. So what
No,
it sounds
totally.
like, right, with this is like go ahead and have three, but it's not going to like your body's only going to take what it's going to take.
Exactly. If you drank three in a rush, if you get what I mean, all you'd be
Mhm.
doing is wasting your money because your body isn't going to take any more.
Mhm.
Just have one, it lasts for an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Mhm.
Drink some soft drinks in between, have another, and you'll
Mhm.
just sit at that lovely feeling.
I love that. Um, because then you're really getting the most for the biggest bang for your buck, if you will. And then instead of consuming, like for me, like this is 35 calories a serving. I'm somebody that cares about like what I'm consuming, how much. I love water. You know, so it's like I'll have one of these, get my 2 glass jolly, and then be able to just have my water, socialize, do like sparkling water with lemon, not ingest any more calories, and have a great time. And if I want to have another one later on, and give myself a boost after that hour and a half, right? I can.
Yeah, totally, totally. And I'm glad you brought up the calories because as important as what we've put in is what we've left out.
Mm-hmm.
So 5 grams of sugar, naturally sweetened with grape juice, um, no caffeine, no junk, everything's natural. Um, and we've done that. So those who are on a keto diet, etc., it fits in with other really, really healthy choices lots of people are taking in life. And then
I
because it's so full of vitamins, minerals, and goodies, you wake up in the morning fresh as a daisy. And because there's nothing caffeine based.
Mhm.
When you finish partying, go home and you'll fall straight to sleep.
And that's really important too. You don't want any, and I love that that's kind of on here. There's like no jitters, right? No
Yeah,
caffeine,
totally.
jitters, no junk, just clean fun. And that's really important and has always been really important for me. I've never supported brands that didn't have, like there's like this whole thing about alcohol causing cancer, but then there's all of these brands out there that have insane amounts of preservatives, and the preservatives are also cancerous. So it's like making sure that, okay, yeah, we're making a product and drinking a product that we're not drinking alcohol, but we still want to have fun. We still want to socialize and celebrate and be part of the party. But we also don't want to do it and like sub out alcohol for sugar or other ingredients that are so terrible for us. And we're living in, especially here in America, and that you've launched in New York. We are living in this society where we're just everything is processed. Everything is junk, and it's like we've forgotten how to eat from the earth. And there's big reasons of why and all of that, but it's becoming more and more and more essential, and my listeners particularly really care about that. So that's one of the biggest reasons I wanted to have you on, to introduce this brand as a safer alternative. That being said, can you give us a few, like, I don't believe pregnant women should have this kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, so the pregnant is a no-no, breastfeeding is a no-no, and then the other one is basic SSRIs and antidepressants. And the reason for that is we have serotonin in boosters effectively in our drink.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were already on an antidepressant, which is boosting your serotonin, it could tip you to two higher levels, which is as bad as two lower levels. So we say, look, really understand it and consult a doctor before you would consider drinking us in that situation.
Yeah. Oh, I love that transparency. I think it's really important because a lot of people kind of skirt around that, and we need to. I mean, a lot of
We've got to be
different
absolutely
medications.
crystal clear on these things. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. So I can't help it. I want to know a little bit more about your why. Like, I get it. I definitely I get the reason why you were like, I want to create a product that's really going to benefit people, is really going to get more people socializing and celebrating, which is beautiful. Are you sober yourself?
No, I'm not. So, and look, it would be hypocritical of me as well. I used to work in the drinks industry,
Mm-hmm.
as in the alcoholic drinks industry. And actually, that was the start of my why.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a job which required me to fly around the world, and I'd sort of arrive into China on a Sunday night and be expected to go out and be drinking whiskey in bars till 1 a.m. And that'd be the same on Monday night, on Tuesday night, on Wednesday night,
Yes.
And it didn't sit with me. It didn't sit at all. And um, if you look at the research, it's really unequivocal. And I would say, look, I'm not drinking on Monday till Thursday. 4 days, clear out, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And it got various levels of raised eyebrows, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
But I got a young family at home. I'm really into my health and my fitness. And for me, I'm a total geeky introvert. who struggles in those social situations. And I need to be outside, I need to be doing sport to get through what was a really challenging work environment. And it sort of just built and built and built in me, if the truth be told.
Yeah.
And then I actually launched a couple of non-alcoholic drinks in Europe for my previous employer, which won countless awards for being the best tasting drinks. And they took so long to make. And they're beautifully like water distilled and with layers and layers and layers and layers of flavour. And so many people came up to me and went, why am I spending so much money on a non-alcoholic cordial which does nothing? And I just went, somebody has to create a non-alcoholic version which does something.
Yeah.
And I left and set about trying to do it, basically. And I went into loads of research, which was unequivocal as to what people wanted. So a really interesting stat, actually. So 55% of Americans are actively trying to reduce the amount they drink.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
The depressing thing is only 22% are making it.
Right.
Only 22% are decreasing at all.
I'm surprised it's even that much.
So when you talk to people as to why, it comes back to that not feeling part of the night.
Right.
Yeah. But they go out.
Yeah. We want to feel seen, heard, and loved. We want to be out there in the world, even if we are introverted, right? We want to, and that's what we're social creatures.
We are.
And that is why we drink, is so that we can get that, we can let down our guard. And
exactly.
That's the ticket.
That's the ticket, right? So that's what, I found. I did all the research and created the brand and just couldn't find anyone smart enough to help me do it. I met loads of people who were just, oh yeah, we'll just chuck this and chuck that and chuck that. And then even with my basic science, I was thinking, well, I know that's not going to work. That's an adaptogen. An adaptogen only works if you drink it every day for 6 to 8 weeks. So why would you put an adaptogen in a drink you want to work in a can? And then, bizarrely, my wife, after 6 months of me talking to scientists, went, isn't that what Susie does? Susie being one of her best friends from school. And I was like, you are kidding me, aren't you? So I went off and met Susie, and it was just amazing. Absolutely amazing. From both of our points of view, me to finally meet somebody who has been using nootropics and all these things for decades, even before they were called nootropics, and totally understands them. And from Susie's point of view, she'd gone through the menopause early and really struggled with alcohol and was consequently feeling really out of her social circle, really feeling like she was missing out, hence the name, Domo, don't miss out. And she was like, oh my God, we can create something which would help people like me, or help people who are feeling what I'm feeling. And it was just like a little match made in heaven from day one.
I love that. And I'm actually glad that you brought up adaptogens, because a lot of the products out there in the functional category, that is what is the predominant thing on the market right now. Is your adaptogens, your reishi mushroom. There's a lot of different proprietary mushroom blends, which some of them can be nootropic. But I mean, that is the thing. But an adaptogen helps you adapt to stress, but it is something that takes time. This is something you need to drink on a regular basis, you know? And so people are like, oh, is this going to give me a feeling right away? And I'm like, no. I mean,
Yeah.
it can have an effect, absolutely. But it's not going to be as powerful. It's not going to give you that 2 glass jolly. It's not going to be that thing, right? Um, and unless you start working with the nootropics and the amino acids, and that's when like people are putting in L-theanine and adding caffeine and all of these other ingredients. And so that's what really lit me up about your product was like you were not tooting the same horn as everybody else. You had really gone in a different direction to really actually get to the core of, and that's why I wanted to highlight that particular spot was what was it that really set this thing in motion, right? You have a story behind this, and your story is I was pushed into a role, into a position where I was over drinking. I was not being able to care for myself, my mental health, my physical health. It was bad for me. It was bad for my family. And then I needed to become, you know, I'm also I consider myself a mindful drinker. And I'm owning my relationship with this, right? And I'm therefore, you know, just recognizing what my thoughts are, what my feelings are, how best to support myself with what I'm consuming, with what I'm doing, how I'm showing up in the world. And having a tool. This is a tool that can support your overall well-being and of your actual mental health in the long run because you now have the opportunity to go do what you would have done with the alcohol, but without that, right? You
Exactly.
still have the drink, you still have the effect. You still are getting that 2 drink jolly. And that needs to be like a slogan. I'm like that. I want to meet this lady.
It's so much fun.
Oh, I can only imagine. But so, I mean, like, that's the nitty gritty of it. That's the beautiful part about this. That's what, you know, like, this is so much more than just a product. This is so much more than just, you know, something to crack open and pour. And that's what the big brands are always promoting, you know, Coca-Cola. It's you watch their videos and it's polar bears or it's party time. It's the can is just this thing in the corner. You know, it's not what it is we're after. We're after an experience. We're after the what we're gonna get out of it and feel more lit up about our lives, you know? And so that's the message.
Totally, totally. Hence the name. Yeah, I joked about it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Domo stands for don't miss out because we just basically want everybody to have the most amazing, wonderful times and not miss out on all the amazing experiences there are out there, whether it be in the evening or the next morning. You
Right.
know, my favorite day is I love live music, right?
Mm-hmm.
I adore live music. So me, live music, dancing with my friends, but then getting up the next morning, getting on my bike, going for a ride as the sun comes up. You know, I'm very lucky. I live beside the sea, going out for the morning paddleboard. I like the duality of a fun night and a good morning. And it's really important to me to keep that duality in check. Um, and that's really what, you know, this is giving people the opportunity to have.
I have a new slogan for you. um, no FOMO, have a Domo.
Oh, there we go. I'm going to write that one down.
I was like, because that's the big acronym that's been going around, like, oh, I have so much FOMO. No FOMO, have a Domo.
Right, done.
We need to make a commercial.
Oh, we do. That's great. Let's
I love
get
it.
out our sketch pads.
Oh my goodness. Oh, well, you know what? Thank you so much for being here, Philip. This has been wonderful. Every time we chat, it just makes me want to pop across the pond, which I want to do all the time anyways.
Well, you want to do that all the time.
Like, as I say here with my
She
university,
says wearing her University of Aberdeen sweatshirt.
as I'm wearing this, yes. Oh, no, but I really appreciate you being here and sharing a little bit about you, your story, your product. And I will link everything in the bio and to the show notes, where to get it, the website and all of the things. But yeah, I recommend it. I can't wait to. I got my cases in the mail, and I can't wait to start sharing it here in Charleston, even more than I already have with Sachet. And yeah, it's been a wonderful chat with you today. So thank you.
Well, thank you very, very much. And can't wait to be back your side of the pond soon.
Yes.
Yeah,
We
we're
have
coming to
some
Austin.
biohacking to do.
Yes, we have some biohacking to do,
We have some biohacking to do.
which is really exciting. We're coming over for 2 big biohacking conferences in Austin. So come and look us up if you're going to any of those.
Yes, yeah, for all of my biohackers out there, this is a biohacking product. It truly, truly is. And yeah, I think that, just like I said, you really have set yourself apart, and that is the crowd. That anyone who is like, okay, I'm tired of the way things have been. I'm not going to keep living this way. This is one of those tools. This is one of those products that needs to be in your arsenal.
We certainly did get a very nice reaction from the community in Miami when we went and met them the other day.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful couple of days.
I knew it would be. I was like, oh, I know where to send you. I'm honored to have been your very first podcast. Cheers to many, many, many more. I know that it's just gonna be on up from here, my friend.
I think Susie's doing all the other ones.
Well, I think you guys need to team up and get on together. But yes,
We probably should actually. That's actually not a bad idea. We
yeah,
probably should do some together.
because I'm sure she can like really chime in with the science, and people
Oh my god, yeah. She's
people love a
amazing.
good geek out.
Yeah, she's absolutely amazing.
But so thank you again.
Thanks, gorgeous.
Thank you to all my listeners out there. Like I said, look in the show notes, and I will see you again next Tuesday.